Good evening, guys. This post is for COMMGiving and also probably for my video diary on the culture proof. Um, I never, if you know, if you take media for granted, especially tabloids and gossip, um, you can think it's pretty atrocious, or you can think the people who are the subject matter are pretty atrocious people, or else. Sometimes it can seem like a bushfire, the way media covers the topic. So I'm just going to break down media real quick. And what is media? Well, let's take one form of media, though the model applies to all media. There's the paper and the ink, right? Who owns the paper and the ink? There's the words, the thoughts, who wrote them, right? And there's the subject matter, the celebs, and the events and the people. So when you're reading through a magazine, you gotta look like you ask yourself, like, if you want to see the veracity of the honesty of the coverage, you ask yourself, who owns the paper and the ink, right? And then who wrote this, and what is it that they're covering? Who is it they're covering? What is it they're covering? And you want to see if any of those three parts are connected. Is the paper and the ink connected to maybe the subject? You know, if the paper and the ink is connected to, say, okay, so you know, the movie theater, or let's say a movie studio has its own magazine. You know, the paper and the ink is connected to whoever they're writing about. So for sure, it's always going to be pretty good coverage. Just like those magazines you find in movie theater nowadays, the paper and the ink is connected to the movies, right? Or the theater. But then the theater is not going to say the movies are garbage. They're going to say all the movies are good. So the paper and the ink is connected to the subject matter they're writing about. And sometimes the paper and the ink, usually, sometimes the paper and the ink is connected to the writer. Let's take a book, for instance. If you publish a book, the writer and the paper and the ink are not connected. You say, well, they are. They're owned by it. No. It's not connected. It's not connected. All right, the paper and the ink pays, like, you get your residuals, you get your fees, right? They're not connected. But sometimes the paper and the ink is connected to the writer, right? It's like they not only do they write, but they also own the paper and the ink. Like they own the production capability to print, right? Now I know in this town, I mentioned earlier today, I've had some flyers printed out for my consulting business, some direct mail flyers I would mail to people. In that case, the paper and the ink is not connected to me. I'm a customer, right? So some magazines are customers of the paper and the ink. Like, if I start a magazine, I don't own paper or ink, right? I can write whatever I want. I can hire people to write whatever I want. We're not connected. We're customers of paper and ink. But sometimes, like a newspaper, might write, but also own the paper and the ink, right? So in that way, the writer and the paper and the ink are connected, right? And then in the first way, the paper and the ink is connected to the topic that they're talking about. Right? The best, you know, and if you're a small business and you need catalogs printed, you need business cards, you are not connected to paper and ink. Or else you just do it yourself, like on your home computer. Right. Owning paper and ink is like owning a big factory, and they print all sorts of stuff, right? And there are companies that own paper and ink, And they'll print anything you want. They'll print Christmas cards. They'll print your own magazines. They'll print your flyers, right? And then there are companies that own paper and ink, and all they do is print their own magazines, right? And so they can say whatever they want about people, so long as customers keep buying those magazines. Now, I don't know their opinion. If customers stop buying them, or they lose money, they would start writing differently or changing their focus, you know. But some don't, and some do. Some will rather go out of business, and you know, if you're conservative, you rather go out of business than become liberal or something like that, you know. So when you look at a magazine, you can ask yourself, the paper and ink, is it connected to the writer, like the publisher? And then, or is the paper and ink connected to subject matter? Or is the writer or the publisher connected to the subject matter? Are any of these three things connected in any way? If they are, it's like if the publisher connected paper and ink, like owns the plant to print, what is this objective? Because he's almost like a monopoly. He can say whatever he wants. He can't be hurt. Because you're actually reading the paper. You're actually reading it. The fact that you're reading it means you already paid for it. That means he can't be hurt. You know what I mean? It's like you don't know what's gonna be in these pages, but you gotta pay first. You don't like what I just wrote? Well, you just paid for it. And guess what? Tomorrow you do it again and again and again. Right? It's like, oh, you didn't like what I wrote about somebody in the newspaper today? Well, you just paid for it. And guess what? Tomorrow I can do it so that you pay for it again. I just put a nice photo. All right. So when you look at media, that's what you got ask yourself. Or else you're just being brainwashed. Bye-bye.